My name is Billie and I like to make dens and play with my friends.
I'm Jackie and I am Billie's mother. Billie is the youngest of 3 girls. She's got 2 older sisters, Abby and Ellie, who are 17 and 14, and Billie is the youngest, she's 7.
I'm Leon.
And I'm Lexi.
Billie's our cousin, she is.
To everybody else, you probably wouldn't notice too much that there's anything different from any other child.
She's mischievous.
Billie's nice, she's helpful.
She goes to school, she is very academic.
She plays dolls with Lexi.
She can be cheeky.
Play dolls, we watch films together.
She can be naughty.
We grew up together.
She can ride a bike and she goes to swimming lessons.
She plays with me sometimes.
She can be very boisterous, where I can't keep up with her.
But this is all because she has her enzyme replacement therapy every other week. When Billie was little, she was quite poorly as a baby. She would constantly have chest infections. She would always be in and out of urgent care. She would end up staying in hospital until she's been helped to fight the infection with intravenous antibiotics.
She was always poorly. She was always picking up things. She bruised more easily. She tended to tire more easily. And we knew that there just wasn't something quite right.
And after a few times of being admitted, there was a doctor at Durham Hospital that decided to investigate a little bit more. And it was just by chance that when she was being examined to be let out of hospital that they found that Billie had an enlarged spleen and liver. When they did an ultrasound scan, they actually found out that Billie's spleen was 5 centimetres enlarged and Billie's liver was 7 centimetres enlarged. So that's 7 times bigger than what it should have really have been, and 5 times bigger than what it should have been. This could have been caused through lots of different reasons. Number 1 primarily was that Billie was fighting an infection, and when you're fighting an infection, your spleen and liver does enlarge because it has antibodies in to fight the infection. So Billie had to wait 8 weeks and then go back to the hospital where they realised that it was actually increased and her liver was 10 centimetres, so it actually was getting larger rather than smaller. So then they started having a look at childhood cancers to see if it was that. When that all came back as negative, they then found out that they would look for rare diseases, and it came back that Billie had Gaucher's disease.
So Gaucher disease is a rare genetic condition, and it's where the body lacks an enzyme to break down substances in the lysosome of the cells, so the substance then builds up. 3 types. There's type 1 Gaucher disease, which has treatment from enzyme replacement therapy or the new tablet. There is type 3 Gaucher disease, which also has neurological problems. And then there's type 2 Gaucher disease, where children will unfortunately pass away by the time they're 2 years old.
We had to wait a full week before she seen specialists at Manchester Hospital to find out what type Billie had. So it was quite a traumatic time for Billie and the rest of the family as well.
It was very upsetting, but at the same time it was a relief to find out that she had got a name to this disease and to know what was actually wrong with her. And then she could start getting the treatment to help her.
When I get my magic medicine, I have a needle.
When Billie was diagnosed, she had to travel to Manchester every week to receive her treatment because she was too young to have treatment at home. So what would happen is she got something called veloglucarase, which is basically the enzyme that's missing from Billie's body that's put back in via a drip. So she went to Manchester Hospital every week to get that done. To start with, she would have it intravenously through her veins, so they would put cream on her hands, cream on her feet, cream on the creases of her arms to try and find a vein, and then they would do it that way.
My butter makes me special because I have my magic medicine.
She gets a treatment because she has like a special button here, and yeah, she has to have a special magic medicine put in it because we call it a magic medicine.
And he's Billie right now.
After 6 weeks, because she was only little, it was really hard to try and find a vein. She actually had a portacath put in, which was placed on her chest. So that makes it a lot easier for Billie to have her enzyme replacement therapy.
This is where my magic button is.
So what happens is we put numbing cream over a portacath, which is on for about, it's supposed to be on for about an hour, but Billie has it on for 40 minutes because she's actually allergic to it. So just enough time to try and numb it as much as possible.
Mummy finds my button and she puts the cream on, and my nurse puts the button in, the needle in where the cream was, because my button's there.
Then they place the needle into a portacath and run the veloglucarase through, which takes an hour. After that, a flush is put through, and then they take the drip off and they flush through some heparin into her port.
Yeah, she's brave. She's still nice. Sometimes she gets up and then says hello to us even before she's getting her injections and all that.
The first few times that Billie had a treatment were really traumatic because obviously she didn't have a portacath in, so they had to find a vein, which was quite traumatic for a child who was only 18 months old. Once she had a portacath in, that was a scary operation, but once she'd got it in, it's a lot better now for her treatment. And really it's become like second nature for Billie to have a treatment, so she doesn't really know any different. She's had it since being 18 months old and she's now 7, so she's not at all frightened of needles.
I'm used to needles.
And she pretty much tries to do the job alongside the nurse and tries as much as possible to take over and do everything that she can do for herself. Billie's been on the treatment for a long time now. It took 2 years for Billie's treatment to actually start to take full effect. So she actually had to have help fighting infections quite a lot, even just a general cold she would end up in hospital with. She had soft bones, so her bones were very fragile that would break easily. She would bruise and bleed easily. It's become less, but she still has to be really careful. She still has fragile bones. She's broken her ankle twice, the same one. Once through being on the trampoline and once just generally falling over at school on the ankle and breaking it again.
She's lucky in the fact that she has the type of gauchers that she has, that it can be managed at the moment with the enzyme replacement therapy.
When I go to the hospital, I get my blood taken out of there.
As part of Billie's treatment, she often visits Manchester Children's Hospital, and because she was there for about 2 years actually having a treatment before she got a home care nurse, they're actually quite like family. When she goes down, they welcome her and they're happy to see her. So she's quite used to going through the processes of having her bloods taken. She's quite happy to talk to the doctors and the nurses because it's the same team that she sees every time she goes. She goes every, I would say, between 4 and 6 months now that she's been on the treatment quite a while. So when she's there, she has to have MRI scans, she has to have ultrasound scan, she has to have an X-ray, she has to have bone density tests, she has to have her blood tests where they take 9 bottles of blood, and some goes off for research and some checks all of the different levels that they check for the Gauchers. And she has a good examination as well by the consultant. They check all of her bones, check for bruises or anything else, check for eye tests as well to check how her eyes are performing, and then she answers lots of research questions with the researchers while she's there. So she has quite a busy job when she's at Manchester. So she likes to get a treat when she's on her way home with a McDonald's. The treatment that Billie's on is quite new. It's only been on the market for the last 10 years, so it's doing its job, as we can see, because Billie doesn't have the enlarged spleen and liver that she used to have, and she doesn't have some of the symptoms that she used to have. But as for the future, I think we just have to wait and see what happens.
I mean, I've been here for 4 years and things have already changed, because for type 1 Gaucher adult patients, there is currently, there's now, the NHS agreed to fund a new tablet, which is a real huge change for our patients, because previously they were having to have enzyme replacement therapy, so that can be quite traumatic. And obviously if somebody then wanted to go travel or maybe had a complicated work, it can be difficult to fit it in. Whereas now with a tablet, that if you're able to take it maybe 1 or 2 tablets a day, that can sort of change someone's life completely.
My hopes for the future for Billie is that there'll be a cure, or if there's not a cure, then at least there'll be a better understanding of it and better treatment wise and better health consequences because of it.
So there are things potentially in the future which will make huge differences to our patients, members and their families' lives.
And she's always smiling, even if it is a cheeky smile.
Billie doesn't ask questions about why she's different or why she has to have a treatment. She's got to the stage where if friends come and knock on the door when she's having a treatment, it depends. She's got a close friend who she doesn't mind coming in and playing with her while she's having a treatment, but anybody else, she's kind of got to the stage now where she says, oh, just tell them Auntie Anne's here for a visit and I'll be out afterwards, because she's become a little bit more aware of it and she doesn't want people to know that she's any different to anybody else. When Billie gets older, she might ask some questions about how she's a little bit different or why she has to have a treatment. For now, we just tell her that it's a magic medicine that helps to keep her healthy. And for now, Billie's happy with that she just gets magic medicine every week that helps her to keep her fit and healthy.
She knows that she's had treatment from when she's been a few months of age, so she will know that she has to have treatment to keep her alive and to keep her healthy.
But she just never ever complains about what she's got, so hopefully because she's that kind of child, she'll grow into that kind of adult that just gets on with life. Billie never says that she's sad or upset about it. She sometimes gets a little bit sad if she can't take part in something. There's different things that Billie can't do at school. She can't take part in contact sports, she can't play with balls in case it impacts on a podcast on her chest.
She does like to try and keep up with all the other kids, but unfortunately she can't.
She has to be careful with her bones, so anything like gymnastics she has to be really careful with.
She attempts to try everything and anything.
So she sometimes gets a little bit frustrated with things that she can't take part in, But overall, Billie just gets on with life.
Say something. Louder. I love you.
I think as parents, myself and Billie's dad have just grown like Billie to get on with everything and be thankful that Billie can have the treatment that she gets. I know that when she was first diagnosed, we thought, why us? Why our child? What have we done to deserve this? But then you just see that your child gets on with it and you have to get on with it as well. And we would always say that we would rather it be us than her, but she gets a treatment, and we're just thankful that she can have a treatment rather than not have anything. I know that we've met other children with Gaucher's disease, and we've heard about other children in different countries that can't have the treatment because it's too expensive in their country. And that's upsetting to see that there's children who die from the disease when it's not a cure, but it's something that helps to keep her going and keep her healthy. And I think that it's difficult when you see other children that don't get it, and it's always in the back of your mind, what if in the future she can't have a treatment for whatever reason? But you always just try and put the negatives to one side and just get on with life and be thankful for what we do have. I think because Billie's sisters were quite young themselves when Billie was diagnosed, and they went through the process of having to be tested for it as well, that Billie has become, I suppose, quite precious to everybody, and they look after her, even though she can sometimes be a little spoilt madam and wind them up a little bit. But I think overall that they've just adjusted to it in the same way that we all have, and we all just get on and know that Billie has to have her treatment every week, and it's just something that we all live with and all get on with.
Billie's my best friend.
I think the problems that we might face in the future might be down to whether the treatment's always going to be available, what's going to happen with different governments, what will happen as Billie gets older and her parents are not about. Will the treatment always be available on the NHS? What if Billie moves to a different country as she gets older and she wants to travel? There's all those different things, but then there's research is an amazing thing, and hopefully with them testing tablets that might be something that happens in the future, so it's easier for Billie rather than having the infusions that she has at the moment. There's lots of things that you try not to think about in the future as well, and just take each day as it comes.
Other people can help by raising more awareness, more research, more money put into the research, so that a lot more understanding is made of it.
I think other people could make a difference by being more aware. We were never aware of the amount of rare diseases that are out there, and I don't think that people really are aware of all of the rare diseases out there. There's probably far too many to mention, and I think that sometimes it's ignorance, that if you don't have children with that, you don't really know what some families actually go through.
Maybe don't have to do anything, but it's listening.
I'd just like to raise more awareness about the disease so that a lot more people understand it, and there's a lot more research that goes into it.
Well, I think regarding raising awareness, that's something we do rely on our members and our families to raise awareness within their own communities. I think is really important.
So I think it's just being more aware of what other people go through, not just in our own family but in other families, and not just with Gaucher's disease but with lots of other diseases that could be made more aware of.
And there is an International Gaucher Day in October.
Yeah, so we try and promote that, and that's kind of a global event. So we do try, particularly through social media, with that, try and push that event as much as we can.
I would just like to say that when people meet Billie, they probably not see that she's any different to any other child, and probably not aware of the amount that Billie actually does go through.
She never lets it stand in the way of anything. I don't say that she'll be left behind with anything, because she is a determined little girl.
She is probably the most amazing little girl that I have ever met, and her sisters are probably quite amazing too, because they live with it every day as well. So yeah, she gets on with it. She's just Billie the brave that gets on with everything, and she is quite an amazing little girl.
Can I have my sweet?
Yeah.